I do not know how well this audio is. Jeez. Cold. Oh, where's this camera? See this phone? All right. I owe 51 pull-ups. Just worked a full 8 hours, and I worked out already this morning. I didn't do any pull-ups. I don't even know how good the audio is right now. Hopefully it's somewhat good. So I'm gonna drink this beer and then pay my dues. I figured if I do this thing live, then no one can say I didn't do this. I actually filmed this yesterday, and it didn't save, so I gotta do it all over again. How cold is this bar? Oh, it's not that cold. Oh. 51 pull-ups is a lot of fucking pull-ups. Pull-ups. Hope it's not double mic again. Shit. Anyone in here? Is anyone in here? Okay, okay, good. All right, so this thing is live. I'm doing it live, so everyone can see me. I can do it. If I did a short, it would have been the short. I can't do 51 pull-ups in a short time, so we're just gonna do a live video. You know, it's cold. All right, let's warm up the shoulders one more time, and then we'll get started. I think we're gonna do sets of 5. So 10 sets of 5, I think, is the goal. 10 sets of 5. I don't wear my gloves. I don't normally work out with gloves, but it's cold. My hands are cold. All right, 51 pull-ups. I'm gonna start a timer. We're gonna try to do. Try to do 5 pull-ups every minute. Where's my timer? Maybe might do some like accessory stuff. I don't have my timer, but you guys won't be able to see the timer, but it is behind the camera. I'll swivel real quick, so those who want to see it can. Come on, how do I swivel this thing? Let me loosen this thing up. Right there. Can't see it. Yeah, right there. That's the clock. That thing's gonna be counting intervals. Might as well do some RDLs in between each set too. We're already working out. Okay, cue up. Tabata. Hit it. I'm just procrastinating now. I'll just run the clock. Exit, up. All right. Here we go. 51 pull-ups. So we're gonna do 5 a minute. We're gonna start on the next minute though. 10 minutes. We'll do 6 on this first one. So 10 sets. 10 sets of 5. 9 sets of 5. 1 set of 6. So we'll draw houses. Set a house mark. So cross. We'll do chin ups to start. All right, that's the first one. That's the first 6. We got 9 more sets. We can do 5 a minute because I can't do 50 unbroken. Plus, in between rounds, if anyone has any questions, I think we got one viewer. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I think 5 a minute is super chill. It's like not a problem. Tried to do this yesterday. Didn't work. All right. All right, it's 11. 11 pull-ups. We still have fucking 40 to go. I'm gonna probably do some accessory work too while I do this because might as well. Already working out. Toast. Bitch. Oh man, it's getting heavy. That's 16. 16. I think I'm gonna like roll out in between. Fuck. Back's tight. I think I'm gonna just do it this way all the time. Fuck. We're only at. It's gonna take us to 21. All right. That's 21. I wonder if I can get away with every 30 seconds. I could just do accessory work. I'll just do some RDLs. All right, this is 26. Wait, what number was that? Fuck, I lost him. Let's do one more. One more. Okay. I was thinking about something. Okay, that takes us to 21. This next one will be halfway there. Halfway there. Come on. Halfway there. Okay. That's the halfway mark. We did it. Just 5 more minutes of 5 pull-ups every minute, and we're done. Hey, what's up? Oh. Hello. Goodbye, friend. Oh, hey, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. I wouldn't say expert, but definitely a guy who's not afraid to break his Steam Deck. All right, that is 31. We got 20 left. Hey, what's up, George? We're just doing the pull-up challenge. We're doing 51. We hit from 640 to 691. So 51 pull-ups. I'm doing 5 pull-ups every minute. Oh, so what it made me address the Steam Deck thermals was the fact that the fan was so freaking loud. Hold on, I gotta do some pull-ups. Honestly, that. I'm doing 5 pull-ups on the minute. That's what I'm doing. So I was playing Monster Hunter Rise. Um, and I usually play with my headphones on because I'm sitting on the couch with my wife while she's watching TV. I have my Steam Deck on, and I took my headphones off one day, and it was so freaking loud. The fan. It was at like 5,700 RPMs or something, and it was hella loud. And I was just like, that's kind of fucked up. Playing like being right next to my wife, this fan is going off like crazy, and she's just trying to watch her TV show. So that's why I started tinkering to, you know, help my wife out. Wait, we got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. We got 10 left. We got 10 pull-ups left. So that's the reason why the fan noise was killing me. But the temps are fine. All right, let me see what's next. Okay, so the mod case cooler kit, I actually just looked it up. It just got to America. I live in California. So I should have it in the next couple days. As soon as I get it, I'm gonna do full testing. Different fan speeds. I'll do the DB testing, all that stuff. So you guys have a more informed idea of what you're gonna spend. It's a lot. It's expensive. It's $50. This thing is $50. So even the JSOX backplate is pretty expensive. $30 is a lot for something that doesn't actually cool your Steam Deck. It doesn't cool your Steam Deck. It allows you an avenue to cool your Steam Deck. So, but yeah, for sure, gonna come out with that one. That I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know which fan I had because I kind of when I cut the Steam Deck open, I automatically pulled the sticker off and then blacked out the fan because I thought it looked cooler that way. So I actually don't know. I might have one of the louder ones. I would assume because that thing is super duper loud. But then again, I don't know. I have no reference point. So I just know I didn't like how loud it was. And like anywhere above 5,000 RPMs was like ungodly loud to me. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. But you know what? I'm not just trying to shit on JSOX. I hope you guys understand that. Like, my whole point of this is not to shit on JSOX. If you're gonna put a product out there, I feel like you have to inform your consumer on what the product is about. Like, you make claims, you mislead people to think that this case will make your Steam Deck cooler or quieter, or whatever, however way they put it, it's super misleading, and I hate when companies do that. It drives me crazy because then now your people get stiffed $30, and they're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this now? I gotta buy a CPU, I gotta buy a fan now for it, I gotta get a Peltier now for it, and those aren't cheap. They go anywhere from like $20 to like 80, $90 on Amazon. So it's like $30 for the backplate plus let's say $50 for a decent cooler. Now you're spending $70 to cool your Steam Deck maybe 5 or 6 degrees. I, that's where my problem is with all of it. Yeah, so I'm glad that I gave you guys enough information to make a conscious decision rather than believing the hype because I think that's the problem with a lot of people. A lot of things I've read on the backplate, a lot of people only tested it for 10 minutes. I was across the board on Reddit, a lot of people 10, 15 minutes. And then there was some anecdotal evidence too, as well, where people were saying, oh, my game used to run at 90 degrees. Now with this backplate, it runs at 80 degrees or 70 degrees. And I'm like, well, how long ago was that 90 degrees? And it was in the same game, was the same settings. I mean, what's the room temp? Like, there's so many variables out there, and people just don't tell you. And I'm like, well, your information is invalid because no one knows your baseline. So I don't know. All I know is I got to do 5 more pull-ups. So we can end this challenge, and I'll round up. I'll answer your question, George. I'll read in a sec. All right, that's 51. 5-1, that's 51. We're even now, George. Also, can you explain the Peltier plate and if it's possible to have a Peltier cooler on the deck powered by the Steam Deck battery? You can. So you can get a Peltier as low watts as 15, I think, no, 20 watts. You can power it through the Steam Deck. Only problem is that's 20 watts, and you still need a fan. So you take 20-watt Peltier and a 5-watt fan. That's 25 extra watts. You're pulling basically more power out of your Steam Deck. I think the running operation on a Steam Deck with the monitor on, let's say it's medium brightness, is like 22 watts with the CPU and everything. So you're pulling 22 watts already just to keep the Steam Deck on. Now you're going to be pulling an additional 25, maybe 30 watts. It's just not feasible. It's just not feasible to power a Peltier off the Steam Deck. That's why and also that 25-watt Peltier is trash. I think a 25 Peltier can maybe get, we'll definitely get sub ambient. So if it's 20 degrees in your room, it's probably going to be around the 15, 14 degrees, maybe a little bit lower. But you're not going to get sub-zero in a sub with a 20-watt Peltier. That's why I went with an 85-watt Peltier, and I got a sub-zero at that. And it's not even a great sub-zero. At its best was -7. So with okay, so let's go off the -5 that we had in our testing. The backplate on average was around 55 degrees. So you take a -5 Peltier, you slap it onto a 55-degree backplate. Then the thermals in between the Peltier and the backplate was right around, I think it was 18 degrees. So you dropped it well over a 30-degree delta, the surface of the backplate. But it took a -5 Peltier to get that 30. So if you're only getting a 14 or maybe a 15 um, um, Celsius Peltier, I don't know how well that's going to work with a 55, maybe 60, 60 degree backplate. Like, so that's the big issue with it all. It's like, yeah, it works, but you need a lot more power to do it. That's why at the end of that video, I took that small Noctua fan with like a really cheap heatsink. It's not crazy. It's made of aluminum. And we got about 4 to 5 degrees off of that one. That worked out well. So that's what I'm thinking most people are going to get out of that backplate is that 5 degree difference. Unless you're crazy like me and you put an 85-watt Peltier on there, it's powered by a freaking power supply. Okay, so hello, Marlon. Yeah, obviously, first of all, I'm gonna say this: any model you do on your own Steam Deck, I'm gonna warn you guys, could potentially break and potentially void your warranty. I'm just gonna be 100% honest. A reason why I mod my Steam Deck is because I'm 100% okay with losing it. I'm just gonna be full transparent about that. So do any type of modification to your Steam Deck at your own risk. But with that said, knowing this understanding of stakes, I do highly recommend cutting ventilation, wear your Steam Deck fan is to negate the negative pressure inside the negative flow of air in your Steam Deck. But I highly recommend if you cut ventilation holes, you have to do the thermal pad mod. You have to do the thermal pad mod because you're pulling more heat. Now there's less air resistance in the Steam Deck. Less air is going to travel over on top of the heat shield and in or around the SoC. So your two running components that run especially hot are your IC controller. So that's the one that powers your Steam Deck. Tells it how much power to take from, and it runs hotter between 0 and 15% on your battery. So it actually runs hotter if your Steam Deck's closer to dead. And your computer MOSFET, I believe the VRM as well. Those things in my testing were running at 75 at the VRM and 65. Oh, actually 65 at the VRM, and I think it was like 57 or something like that at the for the IC controller. But after cutting the ventilation, degrees went up by 10. It went up 10 degrees. And I think it would have went higher if we had not done the thermal pad mod. Only because now we can pull more heat off the heat shield, which allows the heat shield, to, in passively cool the SoC chips like the IC and the VRM. So if you do cut vents, long story short, if you cut vents, you should do the thermal pad mod. The thermal pad mod on its own is a great mod. And the reason why that's such a good mod is you're tying your heat shield better to what cools your Steam Deck. So what's cooling your Steam Deck is not necessarily the air coming in. It's the fin stacks that the fan pushes air into. That's how it works. The fin stacks cool the system. The heat shield is not attached really to that fin stack. So by putting the two together, you allow the fin stack to cool down the heat shield, which in turn will cool down the other running components a lot better. So just keep that in mind. So I do recommend the cutting out the vents, but highly also recommend the thermal pad. So are you sticking with it? Okay, so oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Honestly, well, let me read that again. How does Peltier work? I don't know. Okay, so it's called a thermoelectric cooler. So basically, one side gets hot, and the other side gets cold. There's opposite effects to each side. So one side gets hotter, the other side gets colder. So if you're trying to keep the cold side colder, you need to dissipate the heat from the hot side. Just like any other like CPU cooler, right? There's hot side and there's cold side. And so that's essentially how it works. I don't know exactly the science behind it, but the cold side is entangled with the hot side. So meaning the cooler the hot side is, the colder the cold side can get. That's why you need a CPU cooler or some type of fan and fin stacks to cool down the Peltier. And that's my basic understanding of that. And obviously, when you go up in wattage meaning power, the one I use is a 12 volt, 9 amps, which is right about 85 watts. Obviously, you'll have more power. So more power means better cooling capabilities, but with more power means more heat as well, because the byproduct of creating that cold air is heat, or cold side is heat, and then you need to dissipate that. That's why I chose a CPU cooler to do that, because it can dissipate heat a lot. So, and so are you sticking with the stock heat shield or doing the copper one? I'm gonna ultimately, hopefully one day I'll be done with the Steam Deck mods. I will have neither. I'm not gonna do the copper, I'm not gonna do the heat shield. If you saw the video where I took individual heat sinks and placed them on all of the MOSFETs, the VRMs, and the controller, and I even put a couple onto the APU itself, that gave the best result with or without a fan. I think there was a minus 12 degrees with that mod. So you basically, we took out the heat shield, we put heat sinks on every hot component, and that instantly cooled down the Steam Deck. Like that made it so much cooler. Like, so I think if you just do the fan mod, I think it's a delta of 8. If you do the fan mod plus the heat sinks, it was a delta of 12. And then or like maybe, I don't remember, but I think it was around like, let's say 10 to 12. And when you added a fan to it, it was like a delta of almost like 14, 15 or something like that. It was crazy. It was like the best results I've ever gotten, with or without the fan. So definitely gonna do the heatsink one. But I gotta cook some dinner. Thanks for hanging out. I just want to let you guys know that the next video coming out is gonna be the JSOX backplate. Where we're gonna do. I did the thermal pad mod to the JSOX backplate, and then I tied the Peltier to it, and it worked about 30. I would say about 35% better. Like it worked way better. Like to the point where I was like kind of surprised it worked that well. But it also kind of makes sense because just like I was saying earlier, the heat sink, tying that heat sink to the back plate will ultimately, or to the heat shield to the heat pipe will help the overall system cooling down. So when you combine that with an external way to get rid of heat, it works like amazingly. It did not work as well as taking the Peltier directly into the heat shield. That was like by far the best results. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we were like, I think we're nearly a delta of 20 when we did that. That was pretty crazy. But it's not better than that, but it's like, I think it was like 15 or 16, which is really good. Like, and since you guys are here, I'm gonna allude. Next thing we're gonna try to do is we're gonna overclock the Steam Deck. I'm getting Windows set up right now, and I got an external GPU set up already. It's gonna be it's a 6650 XT Radeon, and we're gonna put the two together. We're gonna do it without the mods, see how well it will run, and then put the mods on with the external GPU, and we should see some really good results, especially in like first person shooters and stuff like that. Anything that takes a lot of GPU. So that's like the next level that we're gonna do with all this. See, we're trying to tie it all together. And then also we're gonna go into emulation and see how well this works for emulation. A lot of people have been asking me about that, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to tinker on that while tinkering and everything else. And last thing I want to do is divide my time and give half-assed results, you know. So it's I gotta be laser focused, like these damn pull-ups. Thank you guys. I really appreciate all the love and the support. Keep getting people hit these subs. We're at 691. That was 51 pull-ups today, y'all. I'll catch you guys on the next video.